guys mlandolera tamulala mwampapsha. Oh, I can't drink the balance station. Cardinal live Facebook. I mean TikTok. Jesus. How when I submit feedback? Wait. It's not alcohol. Again, even at live bunch that is strict that it contains water. Kwariba. Eh? I just had a glass, like a glass. There's a restriction. Let me cut it on TikTok. Then I start again. Don't want it to be restricted. Let me end this one. Hang on. TikTok now. Let's end this one. End now. Then I'll start. Guys, tamlala. Ah, you don't sleep. This time you're not sleeping. Aaron is 3 hours late. Sorry, nice late. Ururu abana. Mwadishi bashi. It ever changed the restrict, so I had to start another live TikTok. I don't want restrictions. Could anyway 170. Okay, Muribakari mwena Zambi. How tamulala? I'm shocked. Mona numbers of your kwera. Ku Facebook, na ku TikTok ona yambisha kairi. But changed the restrict. Information reaching ati bakateka bafira okusta officiate ku tanikani ku trade fair kundola mota keji awerera ku Lusaka I mean daza bakateka bafira okusta officiate trade fair. Information reaching. Iwe, ndi live. Taule umfuika but taule umfuika. All right. Mama motake dia werera back to Lusaka. Kopara stango na rimevera kopara. Information reaching at bakateka. Bafiroksta officiate ku international trade fair. Oh, presidential motorcade back to Lusaka. So, chungurongwai. I thought, namulala. Let me put on the camera so that I can be watching my son. Let me put on the camera phone first. Need to be watching my baba whilst he's sleeping. Okay. Let me move the camera. Right. Okay. At least I can be able to watch him in the room. So TikTok, guys, TikTok, tap. Atibakateka bafira okusta officiate oro nchibaite mokusta officiate bafira okusta officiate kundola mama mioto kashakwerera mu Lusaka. Okay, baidi bakali First, before nshirakuiba Edgar Lungu. Echo. Ba government. Ba feel okusta announce that now miteta mashimba na bamudropa nchinshi. Why the preferential treatment? Everyone else who's being dropped, munachita list. In that thing that you said, the notice that the president has terminated Chakuti, why was now Miteta Mashimba missing? Why did you not tell the people, or why did you not list now Miteta Mashimba to say, you have fired now Miteta Mashimba as permanent secretary, cabinet office? Because remember, now Miteta Mashimba was appointed deputy permanent secretary for Northwestern Province in 2021. After Wambako got 1.5, how many years, close to 2 years, they promoted her and appointed her as permanent secretary, cabinet office. After that scandal, there was some money, 4 million in the 400 something thousand. There was a scandal, there was a scandal pari now Miteta Mashimba. Northwestern Province could the deputy permanent secretary for Northwestern Province. There was a scandal. Kamba no ku ipokero shan that scandal no for ya pota for ya From there she was promoted as cabinet permanent secretary to cabinet office. Now here's the trick. Notification balembera bena Hamasaka. Because bena Hamasaka balembere bade basaine page. Why did Hamasaka leave out the name of Naomi Teta Mashimba and say Naomi Teta Mashimba has been dropped? Na muyibuksha scandal ya mpia iliaka? Shempia sharubire shiria? Naomi Teta Mashimba was not fired, but she was promoted to permanent secretary cabinet office. Ero abaretere bantu babo within UPN je baretere diashi dia corruption. Shire mpia sharubire shiria. But for me, I was so surprised that even all of us in this country, we missed it. If you look at the notification that Batu Pere, Rizabena Amasaka, they said, Uyatilini Habanji, as Commissioner of Lands, Minister of Lands and Natural Resources, able what terminate my appointments. Na engineer Hiva Chelo as permanent secretary, Minister of Fisheries and Livestock. Then President Akainde appointed number 1, Mr. Chibereka Houghton Chibereka as permanent secretary, cabinet office. So number, if Parakasa guys, they are not, it is always what is not being said, and they know to say Zambians twaliba ko lazy when it comes to reading. So we missed that. We missed that. This Chabaleka guy, Houghton, is the one that has replaced Naomi Teta Mashimba ku cabinet office. And if you remember how President Akainde was saying, he was talking about, me, I've got your back, what, you talk about confidential information, the next thing, you see it on your social media. Why was Naomi Teta Mashimba dropped? And why is it that it was kept as a secret? Why? Because taxpayers cannot be paying for 2 people. There is no way now Naomi Teta Mashimba can be now ukula riendarama opposition epotari. Why did the government keep it as a secret that you have dropped Naomi Teta Mashimba as permanent secretary, cabinet office? Taxpayers' money should be paid to 2 people when the work is 1. Gafila mwachita ku Ministry of Sports kuloko mwachita uyu Pirato Chama and Jason Kabanana, what's his name? What's Jason Kabanana's real name? Filamu ashita muleri pira abantu, position ya muntu mo muleri pira abantu babiri. A sheer waste of money where a country is in such that debt, whatever, where you're even going to beg for, what's this? A supplementary budget at an amount of $1 billion US. You want a supplementary budget at $1 billion US. So why this preferential treatment when it came to Naomi Tetamashimba? Why did you not mention and tell the Zambian people that you have terminated the appointment of Naomi Tetamashimba and she has been replaced by this guy, Mr. Hilton? Why? Chireshe, thank you, Kangwa Chireshe. Why? And is she going to be getting salary whilst she sat on her bambams? Whilst the Zambian people, the taxpayers, but they paraukama Zambians. We want to know, give us why you have done it like that. Is it because you are scared about the Northwestern people and that they won't give you the votes? And if that's the case, President Hakainde Hichilema talked about corruption. He always doesn't miss an opportunity to say, hey, corruption, long fingers. Is that not systematic corruption? Because there is no way now Miteta Mashimba is going to be claiming salaries at a position where she's not sat. She's not working. It is systematic corruption. Today, people muntu for just sitting down or paint my makeup. Zambian should be paying for someone to dress up makeup. So, come out clean. And if you're going to give her an appointment, tell us why you have moved her from cabinet office. Otherwise, to ampera time. You cannot, Bambi, you are firing them. Bambi, you are getting preferential treatment. Eh? Bambi, you are mentioning, what's so special about now Mteta Mashimba? Eh? Is it because she's a cadre? Because yes, she's a cadre. A civil cadre who's not even ashamed. The civil service in this country, we've never seen such kind of a civil service where cadres are rampant in civil service. So tell the Zambian people if you're going to be paying two people, one who's not there in that position and the other one who's in that position. Next, naisa kuidia ashidia analysis imipere dia ashidia kwacha. But president yesterday was patting himself on the back. Hey, no. Hello. You see, when you're talking to us, we are listening. Make sure you've got factual information. You are an head of state. So be truthful. Not mule shinga want but when you took office, when you were sworn in as president, the kwacha was not at 24. The kwacha was at 16. If not 16, 16 point something. So, when you took office, kwacha started, actually you were even, I don't know, you were even bragging to say, no, we have stabilized the kwacha. This bragging of President Hakainde Hichilema, it's something else. You were bragging. No, we just did a few things. Hey, ask Ishanyuko, a trader, because it was importing things. Hey, what's going on? What just happened? No. I don't want any stickers. Something's wrong with my phone. What just happened? Okay. I don't know what happened with my phone. Was it 17 kwacha? Joe Bala says 17 kwacha. Are you able to see me? I don't know what happened with my phone. Are you here? So type. Because something happened with my phone. For some reason, the live just cut. On Facebook, I don't know. On TikTok, it's fine. What's happening with Facebook? Okay, yes, that's good. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. I want Insta address so that if you guys will keep a record to say, Chair mentioned this. I want to talk about the issue of the kwacha. When in a they cannot grant the exchange rate, because whenever I said something about the exchange rate, it's like, oh, hey, Tautasha, hey, you're so negative, and what? And I'm telling you the things that are happening in the global in the global world, what is happening with the kwacha and why the kwacha is depreciating and so on and so forth. And I said, Zambia is not, exporting anything that can stabilize the kwacha. The president came in 2022, started bragging. Oh, Chakuti was buying economist. Can you explain to the people what we have done with the kwacha? Say, I'm not load shedding. And I said, no. What is happening is, the macro environment. If it has nothing to do with Zambia. The same thing is happening to the kwacha today. And they want to claim to say, no, the kwacha is stabilizing because we did just a few things. You ask the president, what is it that you're exporting that can stabilize, that can actually increase the demand of our currency? You'll find that it's nothing. Okay? If that's kapadi kwacha ni if the market has determined that this year copper will be at its highest. Okay, number 2 analysis. Copper will be at what? Its highest. It will reach at its highest it's ever reached. Okay, now that's good news for a country like Zambia that produces copper. That is good news for a country like Zambia that produces copper. Okay, so the market has determined that there will be demand. There is demand for copper, and copper will be at its highest in the coming few months. So, when the market determines that there is some demand for the kwacha, okay, it's not yet there, but it will be at its highest. The negative side of this is that you Zambians will benefit zero. Okay? You Zambians, when copper reaches its highest, you will benefit zero. Nico, because this government gave tax holidays to the mines for 5 years. Hey, Daddy. Chungulo mkwai, by shen mkwai. Mkwai. Mwabomba shani mkwai. Bed. Yes. Yes. So, the problem is that when the UPND government came into power, they gave tax holidays to the mines. And I think it is a 5-year tax that they gave. So, whatever money that these mining companies will make out of the copper prices that will reach at the highest, you Zambians, a common Zambians will benefit little to nothing. A good example is what's happening to Mufumbwe, where now lives are being lost. Zambians basanga gold, and they are being beaten in their own country like dogs. They are being beaten like dogs. Today, a young boy was shot dead by the police. Let's just say the state, because muntu ngafa mu PF mwadanda to the state, Mr. Lungu. So apanga fonga to anda to Mr. Akaindechi, Maka is the head of state. But these are Zambians trying to survive. And I'm telling you that even though the market has determined that copper will be at its highest, and we might see a situation where kwacha appreciates, that appreciation of the kwacha or the high prices of the copper will not trickle down to the vulnerable Zambian that is struggling at the moment. The high taxes that this government wants to now correct revenue from is from you guys. That small salaries that they give you, they will tax you to make revenue. Okay? So, that is the bad news. The worst news for Zambia again, if copper reaches at its highest, UPND, the IMF conditions. You remember when President Akaindechi was patting himself on the back saying, you know, because copper, he was lying again. He was lying to the Zambian people saying it is because we hit some hurdles here and there. That is why the kwacha, at some point, it depreciated. But then, now it is back normal. So, no, things are getting better. And in 3 years' time, you will see things get better. This is what he was saying when he was swearing in these new people that he has appointed. He forgets that with the restructuring that they did, there are some conditions to say, if the economy of Zambia moves from the poor side to the middle side, the level at which we will be paying those interests for those for the debt, it will increase. Remember, this is what they signed. Ask Vastumbe Musokotwani if I'm lying. They have forgotten. They have forgotten. The conditions that this government signed with the so-called debt restructuring with IMF is that if our economy decides or gets better or moves from the poor category to the middle category where it's doing better, the level at which we are going to pay those interests will be high. Therefore, even the amount of time that they've restructured that debt to say we'll pay 2050, it will reduce because the economy is doing better. So either way, it is a lose-lose situation, because then our country will pay higher interest rates at reduced time. So they forget. They're saying to say, no, we are doing well. They are going to come to you and say, no, look at the copper. We are doing more. Now we are producing more. Even if they produce more, the fact is that the only people that are going to benefit from the copper is the mining companies and not the Zambian people. So I just wanted to put that on record so that when things start happening and I come and point out that but again, what happens if copper reaches at its highest, then it drops? We are in problems. We are back to square one, if not worse. So, put that in mind. Now, the topic at hand. This government, where is it? Has decided to add the South African government as part of the respondent in their application on the Edgar Lungu's impasse. This government has sued the South African government in the South African courts. Who advised you to do such a blunder? You know, you've done so many blunders. I cannot believe that this is how dumb the people that are dealing with this case are. What came into your mind and what made you think you have the rights to sue the South African government over the body of Edgar Chagwa Lungu? Where on earth? You know, you people have done so much blunders diplomatically. Diplomacy. Zero. You thought it was a joke. This is the same government that our neighbors in Zimbabwe complained about the military that they abad. They complained to go Russia. This is the same government that accused people in Zimbabwe of having killed President Mwanawasa. These things are on record. Elisha Matambo with the UPND crew, they accused people in Zim to have killed President Mwanawasa, and so those people, they wanted to kill Ichirema how they killed Mwanawasa. These things are on record. And the region is seeing what is happening. There was an head of state that wanted to come and do mediation in the Edgar Lungu impasse. This government, under the watch of Hakainde Hichilema, refused that former head of state to land in Zambia. That former head of state is Jacob Zuma. The former head of state of South Africa came into Zambia so that they can, see how they can progress with the demise of President Edgar Lungu. Our airspace did not clear President Zuma to land in Zambia. So he didn't land. So with everything, then you have the minister sent by President Ramaphosa, I don't know how to pronounce that. The Minister of International Relations comes into Zambia, has a conversation with President Hakainde Hichilema. And in that conversation, he was very diplomatic and said, no, as South Africans, it will be good for the Zambian people to say bye to their president and whatnot. Okay? Obviously, he's a former head of state. He should be buried in Zambia. But he clearly stated, but the final say lies with the family. We hope this can be sorted amicably. He said that to Hakainde Hichilema's face. He told you about the laws in South Africa. You cannot think, what are you thinking? You can think you can go and bend a law in a sovereign state? Some guy, I don't know if he's paid or what, I saw Tayari posted this guy with the idiot and said about jurisdiction. I said, does he understand what jurisdiction means? No, with the jurisdictions means within South Africa, the laws of South Africa must apply. You cannot get the Zambian law and go and apply it in South Africa. There's fiakana. Mwaripita kuskuru. Mwaripoka nama doctor 3. Doctor Chakuti 3 times. Jurisdiction means the law in Zambia cannot be applied in South Africa. That is the jurisdiction. Edgar Lungu died in South Africa. Therefore, the law in South Africa applies to how we deal with the impasse of Edgar Chagwa Lungu, not the Zambian law. If you're mule quoting if you're Wakaunda, it is a non-starter when it comes to South Africa. That is why in South Africa they given court, that international relations minister even caught the Nelson Mandela issue, because that Nelson Mandela issue applies in South Africa and not what happened to Dr. Edgar, Dr. Kenneth Kaunda. Where you are a fool. If you puba, fin to fish red quarter diplomacy. If you puba, you're landed in puba in dem yeva. Dem isref parakas. Diplomatic etiquette by you pendita power. Amieva. This is appointed by Ramaphosa, and that minister did not just come to Zambia on his own accord. No, he was sent by the president of South Africa to have a word with the Zambian government. And he stated exactly what it is. He didn't tabasu shiremo, tababi kilemo. He was sent by the president of South Africa. And he was sent to you after you denied the former heads of state in South Africa to land in Zambia. And then Mumano yenu, for some reason, you decide to add the South African government on this, your application. So now the South African government has to find a lawyer who's gonna defend the government's position. Do you understand how complicated this thing is? How you have complicated this issue? Because the minister, the one you have sued, the international relations minister, is not going to stand there. He would have to have a lawyer. That lawyer will be on defense. Will be on defense with the Lungu family. Because you've sued the government, and the government has to provide for that lawyer to defend itself. The government must defend itself. That's why the matmule mfira abantu abanga batayadi na bena siyawan ebupu obwine mwachita. If there's something nonsensical that you PND have done, NIF. When I saw that, I laughed. The entire Attorney General of our country, is this how much you can embarrass Akainde Ichidem? The entire Imoba Kabesha Imwe. This hey, I'm sure the region is laughing. How did you not tell him to say, you cannot do this? Because now SABC will be reporting to say the Zambian government has sued the South African government over the impasse of the former president of the Republic of Zambia. And the South African government has to go into court, in its own court, and defend itself according to its laws. Yeah? According to its laws, it has to defend itself. So here, on one end, you have the lawyers of the Lungu family, and you have your own lawyers, Omwara Sala, and then you have the lawyers of the South African government. And then you also have not just the lawyers of the South African government, because you've also sued the mortuary. You've also sued the mortuary. I don't know what you're trying to do. I don't know what you're trying to prove. But this is getting messy. And the only person that has created this mess is President Akainde Hichilema himself. You wanted to make like the family is being unreasonable. Now the South African government will see how unreasonable President Akainde Hichilema is. Thank you, Mr. Kabesha. You're doing a very good job. Eh? Attorney General of Zambia. You're doing a tremendous job. Because let me tell you something. South Africa will not bend its laws to suit Akainde Hichilema. It shall not happen. It shall not happen. If they respected their president that suffered for 27 years in imprisonment, Nelson Mandela's wish, they cannot bend their law to suit Akainde Hichilema. Teresa yo, mwamba no kuingira ma sovereign state. Mwimu bending a law, yam sovereign state. Who advises you? Kabesha. Somebody told me, no, Kabesha is a very brilliant man. We don't know what is happening to him. It's like now waingira mu UPNG uwongo barafumyamu po. Chozo kwasambira po fyafumam. Now, this shows that UPNG and President Hakainde Hichilema were not really interested in what they claim to say, let's bury our former president with dignity. No. It is a clear indication that all they wanted is the body of Edgar Chagwa Lungu. God knows why. This has nothing to do with dignity, respect. Because if they did, Hakainde Hichilema could have, stepped back and said, you know what? I'm going to respect the wishes of the former head of state. I'm going to respect the wishes of the family. But no, he doesn't know how to stop. He carries on. He goes on and on and on and on to a point that he has sued a government. I don't know. Maybe you thought you were suing a minister. No, you sued the government of the South African government. You did not sue the minister. That minister will be represented by a lawyer, government lawyer. That minister didn't come to Zambia on his own accord. He came at the what? BS. Thank you, my darling. BS of darling. Ramaphosa, the president of South Africa. Muna for an and then a chair to writers. When I saw that, I couldn't believe it. That's quite a chinele satapera tambikash. You're so obsessed with Edgar Lungu's body that you are willing to destroy relationships. Already, the Zimbabwe, we've got a rocky relationship, and Zimbabwe acted so good that, they were so diplomatic. They came into our country, they said this, they had no more South Africa. And this nonsense that you are doing to think like you can manipulate the mind to say, oh, even the South Africans are tired. South Africans, they know they are low. And let me tell you something. South Africans, if you stand up with social media in Zambia, tell South African social media, no. Do you know that how many tourists go into South Africa? You think they are going to bend a law at every citizen, that every tourist that dies in South Africa? You actually think that? You actually think Hakainde Hichilema can now start going into sovereign states and start to change laws in the sovereign states? We have a problem.
The paying South African lawyers is doing that GDP some good.
Yeah?
The paying South African lawyers is good for the GDP.
Yes, exactly. And by the way, thank you, babe, for giving me that insight. So, who's paying for all this? Now, you what I'm saying for servants, mwali sendele mpia shalet. Ama light muleshi so that when pay ama nanikani. Ama light pida fiancé fee. You know this? What is who's paying? You, the taxpayers. You are the one paying for this nonsense. That's Kabesha is doing and the crew. You are the one paying for this nonsense. And what you're doing is you're raising GDP in South Africa. South Africa. Because those lawyers that the government has hired, Kabesha, is it Kabesha? Antonio Jello, yes, it's Kabesha. Couldn't even answer. He was asked, how much are you spending? No, the bill will come after. Oh, because of what? Oh, because Hakainde Hichilema cannot excuse himself. This whole thing was so unnecessary. But the question that we all Zambians should start asking now is, why does Hakainde Hichilema wants the body so much? Because this is not about dignity, about burying Edgar Lungu in the country. No, it is about Edgar Lungu's body. Let's be realistic. What is it with Edgar Lungu's body that you're so obsessed about? What is it? We've read articles written by people about rituals. Is it about rituals? What is it that you want with the body of Edgar Lungu? Because it's not making sense that you're willing to risk this country's long-standing relationships with our neighbors. And we all know the outcome. Because let me tell you, this is on South African website, by the way. Okay? Like I say, Mwaya suwinga the government. It's more like Mwasuwina Ramaphosa, what you have done. You've not sued that guy. That guy is appointed by Ramaphosa, sent to Zambia by Ramaphosa. So you have sued Cyril Ramaphosa. That's what you have done. And I'm sure our presidency, Papa is shaking up. We've never seen anything like this. Okay? It's absurd. It is absurd. I don't understand what goes through Hakainde Hichilema's head. Mwaikana no kuikana mwachitana draft. Hey, respondent. Hey, mwabika no kubika mwayabika no kubika. No, this is not about it. It's like a body of Moses. Where the devil was looking for the body of Moses and didn't know where Moses was buried. Because this is unheard of. It is unheard of. Fyonse kokubomba mzambia. Mutontonga na famubiri wakwa Edgar Lungu. One would have thought, no, now that Edgar Lungu is dead, somebody would be happy. No. What is it that you want with Edgar Lungu's body? Because I read on by Emmanuel Mwamba that 3 doctors were sent to go and see the body without the family's knowledge. Before then, Jonah, that journalist, said there are even CCTV footage where they wanted to abduct the body. What is it with Edgar Lungu's body? Why are you so obsessed with the Edgar Lungu's body? I heard. Natuberenga kwa batu nama doctors who God knows nganinganga. Ngama which doctors or it's real doctors. Why would you go? What is it that you want with the body? That's why now it makes sense why you didn't want that body to be lowered on the ground before kumona pachitumbi. Because this is spiritual. This is spiritual. There's nothing. You cannot explain anything. But if you have dignity, there's nothing dignity. This is spiritual. It is spiritual. It is spiritual. Like an inching for them. Now it's instead of also. Because by TikTok. Let me bring some people on TikTok. I'm going to folk round up. That's why I wanted to put the kids to sleep so that we have a late night. In spiritual, this is spiritual. That's the only plausible explanation. I like watching Judge Judy. Usually Judge Judy is saying if something is not making sense, then it's not true. This is not even about dignity. It is all spiritual. It is all spiritual. And for me, it is, what is it in Lungu's body that people want it so much? A person that you didn't want? A person that you never cared for? And let me tell you, but Mama Esther should be put far away from these people. Bamukamfuirwa basungeni bwino. Bafiseni bamukamfuirwa because this is not making sense. The children bafiseni. That is why we couldn't lower Edgar Lungu's body that day. It has nothing to do with dignity. And let me tell you, the presidents of the region, they know. Ma Africans, they know. To say, what is this obsession with the body? Even them, they know to say, imibiri shabo, uwa ikatapo fyo bufumu. Bu president bufumu. We call it president, others call it king. Bufumu. So mubiri one fumu. Even them, the president, they know to say it is precious. What is this obsession with the body? They can install abantu TikTok balandeko. First squad yet no. Shan. They can mbike kwa abantu balandeko first. Kare na ishte pok TikTok. So ba Josephu nanden. Natwakata wa Josephu twara kwata wa shara. Abak TikTok wambio kulanda. Hey. But Joseph, if I what's going on? Okay, if Joseph is not speaking, because I can't hear anything. Is it me? Is it the... Oh, sorry, Ni. Sorry. I was sorry. Volume yachiwa down.
Okay, thank you so much. I'd actually started by thanking you for the time that you've given to the nation. I think you've been speaking straight 4 years.
Yes.
Advocating for good governance and things. We've reached very, very alarming levels in terms of intolerance, in terms of what we can't even explain physically in our nation. This obsession about ECO's Lungu body, as you have rightly put it, this has nothing to do with dignity, because clearly they have shown that they don't honor that man in any way. Why? We see, the comments that come from the aligned platforms to this government, how they have, gone ahead and they've insulted him, disgraced him, peddled lies against him and all this. So that one, it doesn't need a rocket scientist to understand that this has nothing to do with burying ECL in Zambia with dignity and honor. But there is something beyond what our eyes can actually see. But I think it is becoming very, very clear now. Even those that doubted can actually attest to that fact that there is more, to viewing his body than, them claiming to honor him by burying him in Zambia. You've stated rightly. The family should be secure and kept away, because really, what does it mean to send people in South Africa who just want to view? You can be an extension of my eyes, to look at the body, and that would be okay, because there is a claim that there is another person, whether he's a traditional leader or, a traditional doctor, they don't know. But this person looked different. They were able to distinguish this person from the other doctors. So we have a problem. All right? Why can't they just back off?
What's so hard?
Anyway, when God wants to expose you, this for me, somebody's life is hanging,
by the thread.
By the thread, exactly. So without that, we are likely to have a lot of, challenges. But thank God that, the law in South Africa has always favored the family. I think this is how it ought to be. And they know that this is not going to, the South African court is going to rule in favor of, the family. So what they've done by suing the South African government is basically to compel the South African government in the name of diplomatic issues. But I don't think the South African government is going to stoop so low, The lies that are being peddled, they understand what is happening. So it is a sheer waste of time and a sheer waste of taxpayers' money, in doing all these things that they are doing. Ultimately, ECL will be buried in South Africa, and at the right time, we are going to exhume his body. He will come to Zambia when these are gone. Whether it will take 200 years, we don't care. He'll be buried there, but someone will not see the body.
Umubiri waba ECL ni password ya victory in 2026.
Absolutely. It's known, you know, those that understand traditional issues, the kingship, you know, they know very well what happens.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Let's have Angela, then we're honorable coming.
Hello, Chair.
Hello, Munishani, kale.
Mbona kale mwe?
Kale na ishe go TikTok.
Baba chana shafa fa ku psa ko ine. No ba bene ba Antonio General. Ba senda maloya yabo kuma ku Zambia okuyabalandira nangu bakashita again in South Africa mwini.
So this is the thing. The Attorney General, no lawyer in Zambia can practice in South Africa. Same with the Makebi. That's why Makebi cannot practice in South Africa. They've got no, practicing license to stand in the courts. So what will happen now is the Attorney General has to find the lawyers in South Africa. South African lawyers. They have to hire South African lawyers at your expense. You are the one paying. In fact, Zambians, this is where you should know. You are paying for lawyers against your will to have Edgar Lungu brought to Zambia, because everyone is saying let him be buried in South Africa. So you are paying for lawyers against the Edgar Lungu family because it's your taxpayers' money they are using.
No, but are the Lungu family getting support from the government now? We think about reform. Are they feeding them more? Are they going to help them with lawyers? So,
they're not helping them with the lawyers. They're fending for themselves. They have to defend themselves for themselves. Not that the government will find their lawyers. Why would the government do that? So, you see, on one end, they are grieving the loss of President Lungu. On the other end, they have to think of financial brought to by Hakainde Hichilema, because he's the one who took the matter to court. So, they're being milked. They're grieving. They're being milked. And they have to think to have the best lawyer. What best lawyer can represent them? So this is where we are.
Well, now you cost a country. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. So, Honorable, can you come in, please? Uyu mutongo yaretu kana tamato we H mwim, but you are just stupid. Inenga na rande if you have to know. Tribal.
They are good at, emotional and mental tortures. This is what they've done to most of the people you've seen. They'll make sure bring you to a place where, you just give up. And this is what they're trying to do. But I don't think it will work.
It has never worked for the last 4 years. It cannot work for the next 1 year. Okay? So, umubiri waba Lungu. Ni password yama elections 2026. Life is spiritual. Okay? Life is spiritual. That is why that body now has become like a body of Moses. Everyone wants a share. Ngakuba sansa ula. Let me tell you something. If there was a possibility of bonze bayasuna ko uyasenda kwa kakondo, uyasenda kwa mala, uyasenda kwa mudinso, uyumishishi, mwayabika nga mafuta yo ne murefo kuraso apakutu muchita jack spirit yaba Lungu na tufyungwa fyonse. Bamubarefo akweti kondo, mala babike mafuta barefuwa. You think we don't know these things? We know. So, if there was any possibility of Uyasuna Kosna, and it is God. I think God spoke to Isiel and said, my son, Nyamuka. Because imagine, guys, for a second, if by Edgar Lungu died in Zambia, what could have happened?
Don't even go there as Chair in thinking.
No, I went as far as saying, what would have happened if Edgar Lungu had died in Zambia?
Tasira ngati kwata maka yakulangana kakena kalishubika kwe. Awachumsunkira fyoko na vani noko wasendele chitumbi vaya. Kila wako sele pali jeje. Wale my sisters bakwa jeje. I can't even wish na mfanilelo line chair valete chizilo mzambe mlevo mulilo. Because Zambians won't allow kubatanta mumsebo kutamba chitumbi. knowing very well kwabati noko vale batwala basiye utabatwa basiminisha okufika so just to stand mumse wokumona for appetite to be fine but basiminisha because bakapokola balese bafe konse so how mwandi ninde umfomwe so balala pe South Africa mwandini
And
Zambia ngamwe bune pantu bakade baba PF bengi na bene tabasumine filia.
At the same time, Chair, Zambia has to brace itself. We are likely going to see more deaths.
No, you're right. We need to pray hard. We need to pray hard.
Going to be seeing accidents and things like that. These things, we can't be hiding anymore. These things are real and these things are happening. The disappearing of people, it's here. I was just reading to see that Mwenda, the house has been surrounded, including Blaze.
Even Blaze, Zambia's.
Yes.
No! Serious.
It's bad. Things are not okay. We can't live in a country like this.
Even Blaze, Zambia's house has been also surrounded.
Yes. Bakapokola. Our government,
any person that criticizes this government risks, their life. They are going. They you see that they die or something.
Who is Zambia? Who is it?
No, Mushala was better than this one. This one is something else.
Mushala tare shupa badi wonso Mushala tare shupa feba kaunda chap. Tare kata kuma citizens.
This is too much. Too much. Bushe pinch of a left movie waba ECO. What for? I don't know man that I felt to understand.
Government alayatupeshile tuleshura nokulanda fwe bali kuno ku Zambia mule mfwa kofi tuleshura okulanda government mwandi tupepe kulilesa 2026 ile yafe yetushi and for sure na mfwa buno sala pantwine emalumbo na lepero kutilati password ya 2026 ni Edgar Chagwa Lungu and futi mochitumbi twala pela password awe tuletotela my sister tuafweni tuletotela muindeka please tuafweni kofwe bali mu kuzambia na chula kuli ubuteko 2026 baleya natotela my sister
Natasha Mkwai, ba honorable, go ahead. Machaland.
Hello, good evening. I'm sure that side is good evening. Here it's afternoon where we are.
Where are you?
But first, I just want to appreciate you, your time and everything. God bless you so much. May you be protected with your family in Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen. Otherwise, what I want to say, but their village they expose. The way they have exposed themselves to also include the South African government, they have exposed themselves. And even South Africa, they will never just sit and looking so that the family of the Lungus, I'm sure in me, I believe South Africa lose, and not like Zambia. And South Africa lose, they'll protect our mother and our Lungu's family. That is our prayer. Even Valungu wala balinga ku South Africa. Zambia no, because there's no way. In fact, you know what? This funeral, it has exposed a lot of things in Zambia. Somebody looking for the body, for the remains of ECL, and I'm a Freemason Yamonekela. She was invited, come and see. Now we celebrate. This man has passed on.
Ida church service, private church service by airport. It's very suspicious.
What was there? Because after in the period, I think the following day, which means They were invited that come now, we celebrate for this great man so that they get whatever they wanted to get. But Lungu is a God man. Lungu is a God man. He was a servant of God. Lungu was a believer. Fully believer. There's nothing you can do. God is there protecting, even in Mumfwa. That's why if you read the Psalms 23, the Psalms 23, Yonse, God will be there with you, even in the shadow of death.
Yes.
God will be there.
Amen.
So whatever they are doing, every Mingalado, they have done this, they're just imbalancing Zambia. And now Zambia, Zambia to Bakainde. If Zambian people, they are good people. Bakainde Vene. These other, our neighboring countries, they will never like him.
No. Especially Ibapanga, Blande Ibapanga.
So let this man not destroy the relationship we have been having for a long time ago. I think Bakaunda was right.
No, he was.
To say, uyu muntu omulebika po uyu ni nani uyishi na uyu wa mutongo uyu. The Kaunda said it and badabakulu bali mwene. But now because I'm a Zambian and insulting Uchitumbi, I'm so disappointed. Insulting ECL anyhow. The messages, sure. I don't know where we have taken our culture. If our culture now, 2024, the culture he has brought insults. I'm so disappointed to Zambia. They don't even have morals now. They can talk anyhow. They can insult anyhow. They don't even have they have thrown that thing away from them. Zambia, please, I pray for you. Let's come back. We are good Zambian who used to respect you stand still until that body passes.
Era nombale do 3/4 batali kurashita moku mubiri w'abarungu. Because even here an ordinary person,
traffic dog. He was tired.
Kazi na mfenu kuno kubengara ndati kaucha shani imyotoka chitumbinga chirepita, you cannot overtake it.
Kuno kwa America there's culture. They respect the culture. And here in America we see a lot of people. Tulabombela abantu. We are nothing assistant here. We work for people. Whatever the family decided. Government have got no power over somebody's
it doesn't
until the family says what they want.
Yes.
So I'm so disappointed with Bagainde.
Tulemutotela sana fere sale mpala mwe masisters twalire nifye mule tupepera kufa bali ku Zambia bantukwe na chola watotela sana fere tulisambie tutufire watotela sana my sister kwena mashilonse mule monfya nanji katala kumutima natotela sana fye the sale mpala bonse fo mwe bali out of Zambia
and then there will be a time.
It's so disturbing to Zambia. It's so disappointment. This Bakainde, the way is running the country, this is not the way to run the country. You run a country with hate. Run a country with happiness. Now I want to say the people around him. I don't know if they don't advise
No,
him.
they are scared of him. Let me tell you Akainde's rule. It is his way or no way. Let's even not start blaming people around him. I'm sure Wachitana advise. Wakamisha is looking like a dunderhead. Somebody who's so intelligent and smart is looking like a mokomoko. Because there's absolutely no way, Just listen what happened to those judges. I want the Concord judges. I want them. Those are educated people. But they had to twist the constitution to suit Akainde Ichirema. But then he goes and says that's an excellent judgment. Umuntu Shaichimana law. Akainde Ichirema is so ignorant at law. And this is the truth. He's very ignorant at law. But he's the one that is controlling the land judges. That woman has worked so hard to be where she is. Only for Aka in the Ichema to come and dent in her image.
Imagine.
But Munarura will never be seen in the same light that Concord president. You know, this is where there's a saying that says, when your tribe becomes superior than anything else, that your logic is overridden by tribe, when you are inclined to a tribe than the logic, then you are a liability to a nation. And this is what is happening. Because a lot of learned people in this country have become so inclined to a tribe such that their thinking capacity, their logic has been overshadowed by that. And since they have become a liability to our country, Mamunarula sat on the desk. Mamunarula started to be where she is. And it's a woman. Do you know how much time women put in for them to work so hard to make it at the top?
Imagine.
We work so hard because on one end we're looking after a home, on the other end we're looking after the children, on the other end we have to balance studying and things like that. Then you come and let one man aka in the Ishrema to ruin everything you've ever worked for. I warned the judges.
Imagine.
And now, what they want to do now, those judges that ruled against Aka in the Ishrema, instead of withdrawing that constitutional thing, they've deferred it, and then they've used this idiot to go and petition, to think they can do the same thing they did on the eligibility of Edgar Lungu, so that the Concord has ruled that thing is unconstitutional. By now, we should be impeaching Aka in the Ishrema. But because of the way the country is, we can't do it. Remember, Isha could martial law. Not North Korea, South Korea. That man who wanted, the president that wanted to bring in martial law. And they had to impeach him. Because once the court rules, Aka Indeshema is on record saying we have agreed to amend the constitution. And he takes out a paper on the podium and say, this is the constitution. That in itself is a breach of the constitution. There is no way you can walk with the constitution in your pocket. It is not the Aka Inde Ichirema's constitution. It is the Republic of Zambia's constitution. So and I now ask Aka Inde Ichirema, who did he agree with that constitution that the courts ruled to say it is unconstitutional? Meaning, President Aka Inde Ichirema also to uphold and respect the constitution, abrogated the constitution and breached the constitution. Therefore, he should be impeached and he shouldn't be president. But we are docile as a country to repose a fiamano kuria baba iche video that they desire. They are distracting us. We should be calling for the impeachment of Aka Inde Ichirema because he abrogated the constitution according to the constitutional court ruling. Na constitution more pockets. It is not the Aka Inde Ichirema constitution.
What type of president he is, Mwandi? It's too much now. We can't live like Zambian I just want to pray to the whole Zambian. Go and get a voter's card. Go and get a marriage. If Makaunda was powerful than Aka Inde, what Okay. I want.
But and then they can call Facebook. I'm ending the live on Facebook. We'll carry on TikTok. So join us on TikTok.
Okay, good evening, good morning, my people. I love you all. We keep on speaking our